Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Alexa. Today we're making eyeball cookies. I measured out all my ingredients and I recommend that you do so too. You can find full list of ingredients and measurements in the link in the description. Remember to watch the video first so you can be prepared.
First, I'm going to sift my whole wheat flour, white flour, and baking soda. This is to make sure there are no clumps. If you don't have a sifter, you can use a wire whisk or a fork. When you're sifting, you can push the ingredients through using a rubber spatula or spoon, or you can tap the sides of it with your hands. Now that my ingredients have all fallen through, I'm going to tap the sides of my sifter so I can make sure no ingredients are stuck to its stand. If your sifter doesn't have a stand, you don't need to do this step. Now I'm going to add in my oats. I'm going to whisk this with a fork until the oats are fully mixed in. Next, I'm going to put my eggs, brown sugar, granulated sugar, and melted coconut oil into the bowl of my stand mixer. Before I add in my eggs, I'm going to quickly scramble them with a fork. This will help them to combine better with the rest of my ingredients. Now that my ingredients look fully combined, I'm going to add in my sifted dry ingredients from earlier. I'm going to mix these until all of the dry ingredients are incorporated. good, but I'm going to scrape down my bowl to make sure. Some egg isn't mixed in, so I'm going to mix it a little longer. My batter looks great, so I'm going to move on to the next step. Now I'm going to shape my cookies. To do this, I'm going to put my batter onto a cutting board and put it into a ball. Then I'm going to separate my batter into 4 parts. The parts don't need to be the same. This is just to make it easier to work with. Then I'm going to press my batter out so it's a 1/4 inch thick and as close to a rectangle or square as possible to make it easier to keep the cookies to be the same size. I'm using my hands because I found it was easy to work with, but a rolling pin would also work. You can measure it with a ruler to make sure. Then I'm going to cut the batter using a butter knife into a 1/4 inch squares. The dough is soft, so I found a butter knife worked great. If your dough sticks a little, you can use the same knife you already used to slide them off of your cutting board. They don't have to be exact, but try to get them as close in size as you can so they will bake consistently. Now I'm going to take my squares of dough and roll them into little balls. Because of the oil, they will melt a little if you hold them for too long, so try to be as quick as you can with rolling them. Now I'm going to put a mini chocolate chip in the center to make it look like an eyeball. Push the chocolate chip in and you can press them back into shape if you need. You can also mix in mini chocolate chips into the batter if you'd prefer. You can also roll 2 squares together to make a bigger cookie and use a regular sized chocolate chip as an eyeball. Next, I'm going to put my cookies into the oven. My oven's preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. My cookies took 8 minutes to bake. When they're done, they should be golden brown on the bottom and on top and solid. You should be able to pick one up and it not fall apart. Put them onto a cooling rack so they can cool. I left them on the cooking sheet on the cooling rack because they're so small it would be difficult for them not to fall through the holes of the rack. Normally, with most recipes, you would want to let them sit for a few minutes to set and then place them directly on the cooling rack. This recipe is one of the exceptions that it won't do any harm to leave it on the cookie sheet. And my chocolate chip eyeball cookies are done and looking delicious. Please let me know what you thought of the video in the comments and how the recipe went for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can see when new videos are added. Thank you and happy early Halloween!